Welcome back to another episode. We're in episode 13. Pretty excited. We've got a lot of things to talk about today.
13. We had a whole lot of stuff around like the fake AI and what that kind of means and stuff, and like the hacks that come. We spoke about Copilot as well, and like there's in things that people have been able to show, the black hats out there in terms of hackers have been able to show that you can get into Copilot, so be careful.
Talked all the latest news on Tesla. Google's had some massive updates.
Not iRobot, WeRobot.
Upcoming news in terms of OpenAI and ChatGPT. A lot of open source new tools that are out there in the market. Listen in, episode 13. Let's go.
Be there and be square.
Woke up, tech talk, news flash, AI rolling in future in the dash. Digital dreams, cold and safe. We got the vision, never out of sync. AI, rise it to the sky. Digital world,
Welcome to Sim Fridays, folks. It's Friday the 13th episode, as Chris dropped stuff, very spookily. It's episode 13 of the Digital Nexus podcast, and I'm Mark, founder of Psych.ai, co-founder. Sorry, I should say the co.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I think
Arturo be...
he's going to be mortified.
Nah, he wouldn't be mortified. He does not care.
He'll have something to say about this later.
You know, I mean, even before AI. We had Arturo intelligence. So, like, it's always been there, which has been great. But yeah, co-founder of Psych.ai, co-founder of the AusDeFi Association, which is going through some interesting revamp type stuff. We'll be excited to share with you as soon as we get that. I'm here with my co-founder of this podcast, Chris Sinclair.
Hello, welcome. I'm going to insert a round of applause there. Yeah, man. No co-founders in other than this podcast, but definitely partner with Digital Village, as we've talked about many times before. Shout out to the Digital Village guys. Everything to do with, you want to find specialists,
villages, digital stuff.
Yeah, this is them. We're the guys.
It's great.
I do a lot of UX and other work with many clients looking at AI, platform development, products, everything from digital ecosystems through the stuff that you get into that you put into the market. So
yeah, and just to not confuse things, Chris is the blonde one behind me. So you know, it might get confusing.
I used to have a beard. That's the
it's weird.
And then I
bring it back.
Bearded. I don't know.
For November.
It's so well. That's a mode.
Or is it Beard January? I don't know.
Beard January.
Bearded January. Anyway, the AI will figure out something better.
I don't know.
Usually we check on how each other's doing. There's a whole lot of I think we're both in project mode and stuff for our clients.
It's been intense, but a really exciting.
It always happens.
For this project running, we're in a huge creative phase where we've done all this in amazing research, and we're going to talk about how we did some of that research in a moment, a small part of that research phase.
Insights.
But we're in that back end where we're taking that research now, we're bringing it to life on what the solution should be for the customer. So
fantastic.
Fun. It's the fun part of the whole equation. The whole thing's fun, but this is the funnest part.
Stuff always happens like when there's a big conference kind of week, and as much as like we want to head down and check out the music, the media, the cool interactive stuff that goes on in South by Southwest, it's just been so busy. I had my talk the other day, which was on blockchain.
I want to know all about this. How did it go?
Blockchain and how elements of blockchain can help the future of the digital world that we move to, right?
Yep.
And I think one part of that is like how it helps AI. So I spoke about that. I spoke about the blockchain projects we're doing around like, there's a payments kind of system that a lot of us are just unaware of, especially those that rent, and not realizing that a lot of it is going to be in terms of how things get paid. And you and I don't have to worry about it because we just pay as per normal. But the underlying rails will be on this much more efficient, transparent as well in ways that it needs to be. And also being able to have confidentiality where you need to have it and being able to select that. Running on blockchain tech. And so that's like one thing. There's been other projects that are being seen out there that you would not be able to have. So there's a whole superannuation kind of change where you now have payday super. So the ability for you to, instead of waiting for super to go from your employer to hit your accounts, it is there the same day. And especially if you're an SMSF and stuff, you can do more with that. So there's interesting stuff that is happening because of blockchain. So I think it was really interesting to just like talk about it and just get people to realize that a lot of the hype, the memes, the bad culture, the crypto bro culture, there's a lot of real interesting, and there's the AI bros as well, right? There's a lot of really interesting, useful stuff that happens behind the scenes that people aren't aware of. So it was great, and we got a really great audience and stuff after. So that was South by Southwest for me. I'm going to try to head back today. It's Friday, but yeah, we'll see.
Did you get to attend anything else at South by? It was mainly been about your tour. And how did it go? The
talk went well. A lot of good questions and stuff that, there's only one question from the audience. We only had half an hour. We stretched it to 40 minutes and stuff, but there were some good conversations that happened afterwards. And I was with Rob Allen from Australian Payments Plus, who you know well, Kate Cooper from Zodia Custody, and then also Amy Rose Goody from... she's the CEO of the Digital Economy Council of Australia, which was formerly Blockchain Australia. So really interesting crowd that was there. So that went really, really well.
Good turnout?
Good turnout. I haven't checked out anything else. I know there's like the AI hub stuff that Accenture's doing. Build Club is doing a bit of stuff. So I'll jump to that one just quickly.
I've spoken to a few people about it. They've been very underwhelmed again this year from South by. But what has been tremendously rewarding for those who have attended is mainly there've been a better focus around the networking aspect of things, so connecting people up, being able to meet interesting other people, whether it's in the same field or other fields. So that's an improvement on the overall experience, which is great.
Absolutely. And speaking of South by Southwest, Build Club, these are some highlights from they've got a hackathon that's going on right now. I listened in last night to, you're watching this in the future, so it's all going to be decided by then. But given that it's Friday and we're in the past, on Wednesday, let's just jump around. Marty, you got to come with me, Marty. So basically they set what the challenges were and the ideas at this thing at South by Southwest. Last night being Thursday, they had a group of builders come in to an online virtual gathering, form teams, and now they're going to go off and help build something and show something within like over 24 hours. So I think like by Saturday or something, they have to produce video and some examples of what they've created for the hackathon using AI. And there's been some folks like BuildShip as well as Relevance AI and a few others that have been, here's some credits, here's some stuff that you can use our software to do. So really interesting stuff.
Awesome. And was there anything that people showed off in the event itself, or you have to wait till the weekend?
No, we got to wait till the weekend. So they've only just started. There was only last night that they formed teams, but they could effectively build from last night. So I'm sure that we'll highlight, and you'll see on LinkedIn when you're watching this one, you'll have been able to see who the winners were and what it was that they built. But yeah, really interesting stuff.
We'll put those in the show notes, hopefully, if the results are out by then.
Yeah. Actually, we might be able to. As well as interesting to highlight, apart from South by Southwest, it's all other things on Build Club. So they've done really well. Annie's gotten through to the Forbes 30 under 30. So amazing stuff. Applause again.
Well done.
That was real applause, or maybe it'll be AI generated by the time Chris is edited. Yeah. So Annie, so young, so amazing, doing really cool stuff with Build Club, from a vision that was just a side hustle when she was working at a VC firm to now being able to go into it full time, because at the same time, they've also been able to raise a bit of cash, 1.8 million. So for her, I think it's Tom and Vincent that basically started this. I've had Vincent on the Oz DeFi podcast, part 1. I haven't been able to get to part 2 because it's been so busy, but really great insights and stuff that he's got there around design thinking. He's been a builder in the space. He's been in the AI space for a long time, even before generative AI was a thing.
A fellow design thinker.
A fellow design thinker. So another thing to highlight was that they raised the 1.8 million, and they basically put it out on Notebook LM. So Notebook LM is here talking about it.
Or me.
You might decide, I'm going to take a coding course on the weekend.
It's true.
That's how they started.
That's amazing.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it's interesting how they've tapped into this huge demand. Goal is to train and certify 2,000 new AI developers.
Wow.
Yeah, so
pretty
it's
ambitious goal, and I think it's amazing. There were, I haven't looked into it, but there were the government awarded, I think, 3 or 4 sites around Australia to be AI centers. Now, I haven't seen anything come out of that. I even got in touch with a few of them.
Talking about AI centers as in actually
like centers for learning and
hubs,
educating the
hubs of
public.
education, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. For existing places that wanted to create like a program, and a few they got like, I think they shared 1.7 million or something like that. So a good lot of money.
How many people?
I don't know. I have no idea, because there's nothing in terms of like what it is that they're doing. I haven't seen anything come out. So hopefully the money's being put to good use.
Yeah.
But here, clearly, even before getting funding and stuff, they were already, getting around to different cities and bootstrapping their way through to getting funding now to actually do something. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do there. But yeah, great that they highlight, they're using Notebook LM to create this podcast. Speaking of Notebook LM, the bugbear with that was that you only had those two presenters. You can't really control it, but they're coming out with something where you can control it.
Really? It's an update to the Google
Yeah.
LM is going to allow for more customizability to the actual people who are talking.
Correct.
I wonder how they're going to manage that.
I don't know, but they're going to find a way. It's Google. Life finds a Google.
Finds a Google.
So I thought that was like really interesting to highlight. And then there's a bit of other news that we can flick through. But what do you want to do? Do you want to go through some of the new stuff, or do you want to...
Mate, you're on a roll. Keep going.
Okay, I'll keep going. Another thing to highlight is this thing from Google here. So they're going to basically go nuclear. And this is not figurative. It is literally.
So this is, I've found a few pieces on this. It's been a big topic throughout the media over last week. So Google has backed Kairos Power.
Okay.
Over
Kairos.
International. Kairos, is it? Or Kairos?
I believe
Power?
it's Kairos.
Yeah. Apologies.
Yep.
They backed Kairos Power to build, essentially, that over the next 20 so years, over 7 reactors.
Okay.
With means obviously to also feed the local grid, but essentially allowing them to tap into as much power as they need as well.
Yeah.
There some stats came out around some of the data centers that Google's currently managing, where essentially they've been using almost up to 100 megawatts of power, which is not an unsubstantial amount of power, but they predict that over the next sort of 10 years, that could increase to more than 1,000 megawatts or over a gigawatt of power. So those data centers consuming an extremely large amount of energy across, the fact they're doing the cloud or their normal data, AI, and the works. So there's a real need to be able to, I guess, expand on how they pull energy to service that infrastructure in a cleaner sense, if you could argue that word.
Absolutely. I mean, and then they highlight that by 2030, using Psych here to get the summary because, lazy with the news and stuff, they reckon power demand is going to grow by 160%.
Yep.
And the sector could accumulate 2.5 billion metric tons of carbon emissions. So that's a heck of a lot that we can do now that we have this environmentally kind of focused society, and we have carbon credits, and we there's a whole lot of economic potential benefits that are going to be done there. Small modular reactors, they speak about that as well. So this is they're going to do some stuff in collaboration with Energy Northwest and have these SMRs, which are considered more effective and efficient than traditional nuclear reactors. So that'll be like a key technology for achieving that 100% clean energy. And energy is an interesting one because blockchain and AI is going through it currently in terms of, the energy production, it's so bad and stuff. So we should stop using AI. Blockchain was going through it before because it consumed so much power with everyone using GPUs and, to power the mining. But more than 50% of blockchain is now using clean energy. So it just takes time, but it gets to a point where the energy factor isn't an excuse at all because, in fact, in some places, in some data centers, using blockchain, the data center places have they've innovated to become more efficient, which is actually a benefit for all data centers and stuff.
Exactly.
So innovation begets innovation. It's just like when people go, well, why are we sending men to the moon and people out into the, into space? And yet we get all these innovations that come from us going out and exploring. Yep. So it might not be I'm sure we've got to be pragmatic and stuff like that, but we need to keep exploring. As long as there's more good that comes from things rather than the negative, I think it's all good. So,
the two biggest sectors of innovation, if you think about it from a technological standpoint, is military and the secondary being space exploration. Both of those are responsible for astronomical amounts of technical innovation, even leading all the way down into AI and machine learning. Like the roots of that come back to, how do you identify and break codes? That's kind of where machine learning came from.
Yeah.
So it's
I think
innovation begets innovation, exactly as you highlighted.
Yeah, innovation. That is going to be the I don't know.
Speaking of innovation, though,
What do you got?
Like, we can't not talk about what happened last week.
What happened last week?
Mr. Elon Musk.
Oh, okay. You want to talk to Tesla? Okay.
Massive announcement. I mean, this has been all over the media as well. I think if you haven't heard about it, you've probably been under a rock. But obviously, Tesla had a huge announcements over the last couple of weeks in terms of some new technologies and a lot of it to do with AI, a lot of it to automation, probably a better word to utilize in this space. But we've got the release of their new robots, their robot taxis, their automated vehicles. I'll even bring up a video here, just like you can see here the big. Oh nope, we've got ads popping up. This is.
Brought to you by Squarespace and NordVPN. And NordVPN into Squarespace.
There's a video up here of their automated vehicles. They all look like Model Ys. I think they got some Model 3 style variants. And essentially these robo vehicles. These aren't the taxis. These autonomous vehicles are essentially anyone can purchase and own these vehicles. They come and they pick you up.
Or does the vehicle own you? Or we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
But one of the most interesting things about this is that you can then forward on the monetization of these vehicles as well. So you can literally start to, when the vehicle's not in use, it can then drive away, go pick up someone else, and that person can then pay for the usage of that vehicle. So your car is no longer sitting there doing nothing, dormant.
Those lazy people from the early 21st century, like having their cars just sit there.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
There's a really good ad. I can't remember what it was, but it was or who came up with it. But one of those European clever ad agencies and stuff, showing how much space that we take up when we're in cars and what they had. Like you see cars out here, for example, in traffic, and people, saw all the cars banked up yesterday because of the tragic, the bridge accident and stuff. So knock on wood there. But like, they showed people, in Sydney, we're in Sydney, folks. Yep. Showed people as cars are like moving around, instead of the cars, they just had people standing there in position of where they would be in the car. And you see these people kind of like moving around through the city with so much space between them, because that's literally what we've got with the cars and stuff. And I think it's a great idea if we can find more efficient usage of these things. We'll get pushback though, very likely, you'd think, from the vehicle manufacturers. Lobbyists and all that kind of stuff.
We can't. We're in the future. We're pushing forward. They're not going to be able to stop this stuff anymore.
And we have to, but no doubt, this is the friction that always happens when there's an incumbent industry. So people are seeing it with emerging tech. So yeah, really interesting stuff. And the future of like urban impact and new products. I think they also discussed that in the podcast. Like converting a lot of parking lots to green spaces.
Well, this is it. This is the big thing, especially with these automated taxis now. Like you're able to pull back on the amount of infrastructure of roads that you and I would generally need when we're driving our vehicles. You're able to optimize flow of traffic through cities. It even improves how you get, pick up items and distribute it out to, whether it's transportation of goods and services. These vehicles can tailor to that as well. It's just like the clean energy opportunities here are like beyond imaginable. It's fantastic.
I think we need to get to a future like Futurama, where it's a whole series of tubes across the city. We don't even need
build a city
vehicles.
On top of our city.
Yeah, like you jump into a tube and it takes you straight to your office and stuff. Now you might have a little bit of a headache, but there'll be a pill for that. So you'll feel a little bit jelly, so that's fine. But yeah, interesting stuff that we're heading towards.
So they predict, I think, the autonomous vehicles by 2027, I think they were saying, and everything else around 2030. You see here, here's the robots coming out on screen. These, essentially marching out in an iRobot formation. I believe they were...
Is that the T1000?
Yeah, I believe someone was saying that these were controlled by...
Xbox controllers?
Someone with probably an Xbox controller, so they're not actually AI infused yet.
Yeah.
Probably more for the performance to make sure they were optimized. And
that's just a dude in a suit. A really skinny dude.
Yeah, exactly right. But the thing is, like, it was the way that they were still able to move, which even with a controller, we haven't had, two-legged robots comfortably moving about in this human manner at all. So this is incredibly exciting to see. They've released possibilities of the cost of these. We're looking at like probably 50 AUD, 50 Australian dollars. I think it was like 30k Australia USD.
Not bad.
For the ownership of one of these. And I think they're saying around 2030, if I remember correctly, is when these might come to market. But like, that's not far away. That's like 5-6 years. We're talking about automated.
That's crazy.
AI-driven robots living in your home, helping you do your day-to-day chores, keeping your kitchen clean, delivering your groceries.
Yeah.
This is happening. This is the future.
It's like, I think there's going to be a lot of people really pushing for this stuff, a lot of people rallying against it. I can see protests in the streets. I can see paranoia at something so different. As long as we show the benefits, then
there's Elon Musk's creepy face. He's like, yeah, it's happening.
That's Elon Musk in dreamlike state. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. The future of where we're heading to and the economic and safety benefits are going to be really cool. So great stuff from Tesla. They also had the rocket catch and stuff as well. Instead of having to land and have feet that extend, they also had the rocket catch where the arms of the thing that usually hold up the rocket were shown there, but not AI. So are we going to go to it?
I'll bring it up because I think it was phenomenal as well. So this happened earlier this week. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. SpaceX catches essentially an
ad.
Part of the idea is that when rockets take off,
pay for your YouTube, folks. Pay for your YouTube.
Yeah, shall wait for that.
KO showing a KO, which is great. The irony. Irony Fridays.
I'll get straight to the rocket.
SpaceX. There you go. There we go. Look at that.
So essentially here, like with rockets, when they take off, they have their two big rocket packs or less, and they get dropped. They have huge amounts of resource to then go and try and pick them up and bring them back if they are able to, deep within the ocean. Previously SpaceX has been landing these rockets mostly successfully with legs on the ground. But some of the issues that you have with that is the damage to the cement or the concrete. When it lands, it's literally cooking the ground, which is causing stability issues. Yep. It's then having to rebuild the infrastructure for the land that is underneath the landing pads. And so they were trying to explore other ways of capturing these rockets after they've been utilized to launch people off into space. And boom, now they're just catching them in the air.
It's a good way to do it.
There's a lot of other benefits to this around, like, you can now start landing these things in areas where there might not be very comfortable terrain. So you could build this infrastructure somewhere else, whether it's out in space, have those rocket things grab them as people come and land in different, atmospheres, different terrains, different planets. Like, it's the
different
possibilities here are now endless. It's fantastic.
I think it's going to be really cool seeing how all of that works and stuff. So keep an eye out for that. Another interesting thing, if we just switch back, is I've already got the key points there. That's fine. I was just going to show something, but yep. So we've got Apple here. This is the AI grid. Definitely a podcast to watch out for. But they highlight in here, and I'll play without the sound and stuff just so you can see some of the things they're going through. So it's a very much more reasoning kind of thing that's being shown here. It's much more paper based, but it's about reasoning. So the idea is that Apple, and we've seen others talk about this, and I know that people might take this as a negative, but the limits of that AI reasoning and it not being able to do reasoning as well as we thought. So they talk about things here from this podcast. So when it comes to, for example, let me just get my notes here. Just play some music in the background while we do this. Knowing the automated AI is going to pick up on this and make this a short, which is stupid. Don't do that. But basically the points were that when it comes to reasoning, there's limitations to what is actually happening with reasoning. So if it hasn't seen a problem before, it's not going to be able to do anything kind of further with that. If it's not, if it is able to do something say on a test, here's a problem, solve this, it can usually do it really well when it's seen that problem before. So Francois Chollet, AI researcher, he's done some stuff in this space. Apple's now come out with some official kind of like phrasing and reports about how they see it as well. Now, it's also sensitive to changes, and there's these tests that they call GSM symbolic benchmarks, where what they're doing is they change the names and values in test questions to see how big the performance drops. So if the problem was George, Tom, and Jerry go to blah, blah, blah and have to row a boat across the whatever, changing the names of the characters, but the test is exactly the same, a lot of AI can't figure that out because it now sees it as a new problem. So this is a thing that is a problem when it comes to like AI reasoning, that you can't just let it, it doesn't look like it's evolving, basically. Like the way that we construct large language models right now, they haven't been able to figure out a way to get beyond that. Now, the interesting thing is that that's a benefit, I think, for having humans in the loop. A lot of people, for them, it's like AI is not good enough.
Until they solve it.
Until they solve it, at least. AI, for some people, is like, well, it's useless until it actually solves something. But it's like, by the time it's actually doing everything autonomously, it's useless until it's autonomous. If it's autonomous, you can say goodbye to some jobs potentially. So I wouldn't welcome full autonomy just yet, even though we will get there. There's this period of time where we can really learn to work with it. And this is an opportunity to embrace the tech and understand it, because through doing that, you can better position yourself for when that future does come, that, these things do have AGI and it's autonomous. But it is a benefit right now, especially if you're a consultant. It still means that whether it's consultant or you're working in-house, that you have to know what it is that you're doing with the AI models. Like, they're not going to be able to figure out and just reason on their own. There's still a lot of steering that you need to do. It is getting easier and there's more autonomy in terms of how people do the steering, but I think it's really interesting that Apple is also highlighting this kind of stuff as well. So that's definitely one to highlight. I've got a few others here. How did you want to do this?
There's a couple of new things that have come out to market. I'll just touch on this.
We're showing online.
This is an interesting one. This is a biotech company which has called Gingko Bioworks, which has a really interesting exploration into mapping of the biology of our genomes, and they're coming up with essentially the Chat GPT of this biotechnology wave. And so they've just done a few announcements over the last week. They're stating here, we're basically making this ecosystem by which Gingko becomes the tool provider to the entire industry, aka the biotechnology. What we're doing here is basically making a model API akin to OpenAI or Anthropic, so that others can now build great tools on top of them to access these models and predictions. And these predictions able to understand, like the biology of humans, animals, creatures, worlds, plants, and stuff like that. And so really interesting tools coming to the market. We talk a lot about, large LLMs, large language models, and video editors and data tools around the AI space, but the amount of work that is being done behind the scenes in the health industry and the biotechnology industry, even in infrastructure and management, there's like really interesting tools that are coming about and improving how we're able to do research, how we're able to identify even like issues in health far in advance with predictive models. It's really fascinating what's happening in that space due to this whole dynamic of AI coming into the hemisphere.
I think, it also highlighted the future of drug discovery there in that article. So saying things like I think that they interviewed the founder there, where he was talking about envisioning a future where every company developing therapeutics will have these AI tools either by investing heavily in their development or by partnering with Gingko. So really interesting to see that. They did call it the ChatGPT moment. For the space, as you mentioned. So I'm really interested in seeing what others in terms of different industries, not just within biotech, but in other industries, where they can be inspired by having, what is their ChatGPT moment? It's like when Notebook LM came out for podcasts, it's like, wow, could this be the ChatGPT moment for podcasters? We'll see. But there's definitely a need to have that fine-tuning idea in mind when it comes to how do these tools work for your specific industry. So it'd be interesting to see where they end up with this kind of stuff. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, very nice. A couple of smaller things that have launched over the last couple of weeks. We talk a lot about these the video editing businesses and organizations, AI tools that have come to market. A lot of them are, they're owned by these companies. This open source one, which has been pretty interesting, has just done a few updates called Pyramid. And Pyramid has released a couple of videos just around what it's capable of doing. This is like text to video with some realistic video content. You can see here.
Nice.
There's some really quite realistic and very minor issues. You can see little errors popping up, like with along the legs and the feet, some of the transitions here. But just the landscape is beautiful. The lighting is beautiful. Its ability to render movement in a meaningful way is really cool. So they're able to, you can see here, there's the car sort of like leaning into the road slightly there as it's driving by. But the fact is that this is an open source tool, so anyone can utilize it, download the API, start running things locally on their systems, and then tinker and improve how this tool works as well. So that's a pretty cool announcement. Just because there hasn't been a lot of open source tools available for video in the market right now.
Well, speaking of the fake stuff, there's been a bit of stuff on fake history that's being created there. If we can, how do we switch? All right. We're going to work out the transitions and stuff a lot better next time. Which one? Cut? Okay. We're going to cut better next time and stuff. But yeah, look,
new tools here, folks.
New tools, folks. This is what happens, and we'll sort out the order and stuff like that for the future ones. But yeah, fake, stuff that's on there. It could lead to some negative things because people could create fake history photos, as you can see here from this article, where you've had things hang on a second. I think it's this one here. So, for example, we'll play this short where it's been doing the rounds where it's this is how the ancient Egyptians made the pyramids. And it's this, if you didn't know, you'd be like, whoa, look how big these people are. It's hang on a second, something's not right there.
Oh, it's just playing on those people with these, oh God.
You can see people falling for this kind of stuff, right? It's going to happen. Unfortunately.
Giants existed, didn't you know that?
Giants did exist in my head.
In my AI world.
But another thing that was interesting was this piece here from the Black Hat podcast, which is all about it's a conference that they have every year, and I think they maybe do multiple things throughout the year, but hacking into things. And in this track, it was all about Copilot. Copilot is not as safe as you think, so just need to be quite careful with how you use things in there, because as the Black Hats have shown, there are ways that you can actually get into it. And so one of the things that need to highlight, so let's just take a look at Sykes. Give me 3 key points from this podcast, and we've highlighted Copilot down here. So I've just grabbed the whole transcript there. And for me, one of the key takeaways is that anything where there are actions that the AI can do on your behalf is vulnerable. What that means is that where the AI can, it can send out emails for you, it can go look up files. Just looking up things is certainly one thing. It can't turn off the sirens, which I don't think, maybe the
AI
filters.
noise editor will take off the sirens.
Yep, we'll do that. But the thing that it is interesting there is that it's going to be this world where you need to be careful about what you put into the Copilot. It just drooped. It wasn't really happy doing that. Can you fix me up?
We're having a great day, man.
There we go.
Yeah, it's good.
Just needed a little pill, and it's okay now. But no, the interesting thing there is that for the microphone, folks, for the microphone. So
this is episode 13, and things are supposed to go wrong. It's
spicy episode 13. But no, the thing that you need to remember is that anywhere there's actions with Copilot or other tools, it's vulnerable because we're in a world now where you don't have to code to be able to get AI to do stuff or to get programs to do stuff. You just chat with it. So think about how you can socially engineer people to convince them that, you are an employee of this company and stuff. We're doing, and they show that you can do very similar things to the AI by saying certain phrases keywords and stuff, what they call incantations, they're able to bring about some really interesting insights that the AI is able to share. And because it can share those things, they can do normal hacky type stuff where you get an email, but embedded in the header of an email is the instructions that only Copilot can understand. So you just got to be like really careful. If it's read-only AI and it's reading and giving you stuff that it produces from just reading stuff, but it can't write, that seems like it's a little bit safer. But especially anywhere where there's like AI actions, and that's exposed to like the outside world somehow, like you do have with Copilot. I mean, they even had something where Copilot, and this is just current time in terms of writing or at the time of the video, it could not tell if there's a Chris Sinclair from an entity outside of Digital Village that makes up its name to look like it's Chris Sinclair from inside a Digital Village, then it doesn't know. It doesn't know the difference between the two, and they showed that with this. So just need to be mindful. He goes through in detail here, so I think it's a really important video for security researchers just to be aware of.
Yeah, it's a good call. Does anyone use Copilot?
Yeah. A lot of people use Copilot for doing, summaries of emails and things like that. I think it's a bit, even though they can do it, it's like early stage Canva, limited kind of features with their designer kind of tool and with PowerPoint.
And they've done a lot of cool updates over the last couple of weeks. Even I think we talked about some that came out last week for Copilot. But yeah, I think it's good to be conscious. I mean, it's not only about Copilot though. Yeah. It is, if we think about it, it's any AI tool that you bring into your organization, that you bring into your own life.
Yeah.
Education and being conscious of what it is you're doing with these tools and where you're doing them is super important. I know AI has obviously got a massive magnifying glass over these security risks, but even prior to that, the caution that was required, even just to jump onto your email, has always been super high. It's just obviously that lens has now shifted to something that is driving a lot of data and a lot of decision making for yourself, for businesses, and for the world. So being conscious and being educated is really, really important. I know we rattle home around consultation and having people, specialists come in and supporting organizations when it comes to the use of AI. But because of these very reasons, if you ever watch this video, and you highly recommend it, especially if you're interested in how to integrate and understand the security risks of AI within your organizations, the risks associated with not knowing this stuff are significantly high, especially if you have a lot of data that is high risk. A lot of personal information for your customers, a lot of it could be IP that you're talking about, and not being aware of how these tools impact all that decision. It can have a huge risk across your organizations. And that's why consultation is really important, because these people, these specialists, know about these problems. They know around, they can learn about your needs and your wants, and then put the right tools in place to lower that risk and still provide that level of innovation that your business needs to move forward.
Agreed. And speaking of AI risk and stuff, another thing to highlight here was that there's a new Gmail security alert for 2.5 billion users as AI hack was confirmed. So it's an AI-driven Gmail attack. So you can check out this article here from Forbes. Basically, they highlight a few things like the number that was being called while they were speaking. It leads to, for example, you get a message to call a certain number, and it seems like it's Google, and it leads to Google business pages, but there's ways that they've been able to use AI to the hackers to pretend that there's something that they're not. So, highlighting that. And then another one was
common phishing style, but with AI on
common phishing, spear phishing even, which is another type. But the other one to highlight in terms of the things to be aware of was that this is just research right now, but there's a prompt that some researchers had. They used it with not ChatGPT, but with some other language models out there, that they can put in certain prompts to get the AI to identify, and not just that, but extract personally identifiable information about the users. So scary stuff potentially. But yeah, there's research that's just been done. They haven't released the code, which is good. It's just like those ones that they had the meta glasses and stuff, and they found a way that it could, as soon as it took a photo and stuff, find you on Instagram and find you on all these other things. And they're not hacking there. They're just going to publicly available sources. But got to be so careful with being able to showcase here's the capability and stuff. So these guys, they've got their research that's out there. They called this thing Imprompter. And there's a research paper that's been published recently that talks about that. So they looked at Le Chat by French AI giant Mistral. Of course, it's called
Good
the
old
Chat
Mistral.
because ChatGPT or ChatGPT is apparently cat I farted in French. So ChatGPT just didn't quite fit. It's probably better that they call whatever they come out with their Le Chat. And also a Chinese chatbot called ChatGLM. Don't know what that means in Mandarin or Cantonese, but if it translates to something, please let us know. But they were able to get like an 80% success rate in terms of extracting personally identifiable information from the chats and stuff there. So really interesting stuff. Really high.
Scary.
Really scary. What else you got?
On some brighter news, I mean, for all of our Opera browser users out there, they have the Aria has been one of their subsidiary, plugins or tools. Mm-hmm. They've had that for a while. It's had a bit of AI integration in it over the last couple of years. It has always required sort of a secondary or an account to be able to access it. They've just integrated it into the Opera browser itself now, so it's part of their search bar. And doesn't require a sign-in. So just like adding that extra AI element and into the Opera browser itself. And Opera's known for its pretty good security and privacy, accessibility across.
Do you use Opera?
Occasionally on my mobile device, not so much on, on desktop.
You've got an Opera mobile phone?
I've got an Opera.
Wow.
It sings to me daily.
Oh.
But you heard it here first. But so that's pretty interesting, pretty cool. Again, AI just like touching all areas of how we utilize the tools that we have in our hand. ChatGPT, obviously a big one that people use all over the place.
Yep.
4.5 has been a big point of discussion. When's it coming? Is it coming? And I guess the internet has been a flurry with rumors that it could be coming out over the next month or so, as I think Anthropic is about to release a couple of updates, and a couple of other big LLMs are about to release a few more updates. And I guess along with that, as everyone's trying to chase themselves, stay ahead of the game. They predict that OpenAI's 4.5 version for ChatGPT is going to be coming out, which is going to obviously increase a lot of the tokens, increase the parameters, and be faster, more intelligent, which is pretty exciting. So hopefully that might be coming in the next month or so.
Yeah, there's a few things from like Digital Trends, Gamer Revolution, Android Authority, which people use a lot when they're looking at phones and stuff. But that's not it. No, that's not the right article and stuff there. But 4.5 news. Let's have a look at this one here. Digital Trends. Why would this be from August 9, 2023, talking about 4.5? Anyway, well done, search out there. I mean, it's got the right kind of things in the search, but those articles, not great. But we will be keeping an eye out for whenever there are these new updates and stuff and actually using it. But, there's Canvas that's out there, which is great because now you can keep the chat block just where it is and just have these edits on the side. There's definitely a few things that are a bit hit and miss with it, like being able to go back to previous kind of versions and stuff. Cursor does a lot of stuff with coding and just having that in front of you there. We showed you Bolt last week. I've been using a lot more of Bolt. I was thinking of V0 whilst I was saying the word Bolt, so it came out as Volt. But Bolt.new is another great one, which can help you just lay out the possibilities of what a new app that you're building could look like, because it does the whole thing. It will create the repository of the components, the sources, what you would typically see in a React app. And it'll even do the npm start and do the build on browser. And if you want to deploy it, you can put it they have a partnership, or they've come out of one of those online builder kind of companies and stuff, just like V0 came out of Vercel. But combining those things, you can either do something completely through them, or maybe you've got an inkling towards here's an idea I have to build an app. How would it look? And then you can just see how they've structured it and create your own, maybe using Cursor and some other offline tools. But takeaway as well as part of it is that people have been playing around with their own version of Bolt.new, because there's more videos coming out about how people are downloading it, because they've made it open source. Not every feature is there, but if you have your own Anthropic key, you can download the base version of bolt.new and just have this builder just running on your own machine. So if you're scared about pushing your ideas, out there into the ecosystem, like ideas are free, folks. It's execution that really matters. But yeah, people might not want to actually use the online SaaS systems, but you've got the option. So really cool stuff. Can you imagine ChatGPT doing that?
I
don't think so.
Well, Claude has already been, or Cloud has always been the go-to for a lot of this code development review, because they kind of had their own little canvas way of reviewing the work that you've done as well. And just from a code development or any kind of web development standpoint, I found myself going to Bolt a lot more now. It's just a little bit more, that ability to tinker a little bit more with the actual code and explore how things are being pulled together is just that much better.
Yeah.
With Claude, it's essentially a code dump, so asset management isn't it's not even there at all.
No.
Whereas opposed to Bolt, it's actually got proper asset management of the files, locations, and also even if you're someone who's learning, it gives you a bit of a education, although you have to think about how to structure things, which I think is really, really cool, especially if you're trying to go into development.
Exactly. I know people that have been able to build apps, and even the experienced people that have been able to build faster because of tools like this. So it's really interesting stuff. I don't know any developer worth their while that is not even touching AI right now, especially where they've got to build and create new things. And speaking of creating, we created, and we're going to see more of this, folks. So, hold your horses there. But we're doing things like, here's a little video of me talking to myself. So we'll have a lot more stuff talking to myself here.
You mean generative AI? Like ChatGPT?
Look, it's me.
Yeah, ChatGPT. That's AI, right? Technically, but there's also predictive analytics, reinforcement learning, computer vision. Sounds like a lot. It's like saying you need a tool. Could be a hammer,
playing a Boston employee here.
So we'll just call everything AI? Please don't. Why not? Because someone will ask why their chatbot isn't forecasting sales trends. Wait, it can't? That's like asking the fridge to mow the lawn.
Doing stuff like that. There'll be more videos like this sort of stuff that people will see. I've done one where it's like more face-to-face and stuff, playing like different characters and employees and stuff. But I think it's interesting to just, we talk about stuff here, but for YouTube Shorts and like TikTok where we're on, you'll see more of this kind of stuff, like poking fun a little bit at some things that are...
something that's worth poking fun at.
Something worth poking fun at, not necessarily the absurdities of the AI space, but sometimes it will be the absurdities. So, got to check it out. Anyway, keep an eye out for that, as well as this YouTube. If you're watching this, please, you got to like, share, and subscribe.
Please.
There's going to be a whole lot more that we'll be covering, and we'll keep you posted on what we are going to be building for the future. I mean, we will be trying things like, I even think that this kind of stuff, we record it now. We should try to record it to push live to YouTube and stuff.
Amen.
Or even like LinkedIn, because it's like we're filming this. It's 11:14 on Friday. Hopefully people have a light enough Friday that they can just be watching this on LinkedIn at the same time. It means less mistakes and edits and stuff. Or maybe it's like live and raw, just keep those in. Anything else you want to cover?
No, I think that's it for now. We'll have some education pieces as we were talking about the last couple of weeks coming out soon. We're going to start talking about more tools that you can utilize.
Showcase
some stuff. Check us out. Check out our socials, subscribe, share the podcast out. It really helps us out. And we'll see you in the next episode.
We'll be folks. So see you then.
We'll be
We got the vision, never out. Circuit board buzzing, worldwide. Tech trends blazing, digital fire. AI, rising to the sky. Digital world, we reaching high.